In this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of listening. In particular, I will explain why it's important that we listen to our partner's complaints. In addition, I will describe what happens when we don't and offer some suggestions about how to listen and how to respond effectively so that we can get on with having a great relationship. If you have a partner and if you value your relationship, I guarantee that you'll get something out of this video. My name is Michael Dewan-Herrick. I'm a psychotherapist and life coach with over 40 years of experience, including experience working with families and couples. And this informs what I'm about to tell you about listening. But it's not just my professional experience that informs me, it's my personal experience. I've been married for the last 15 years, and before my current wife, I was married for 20 years, which ended in a divorce. So I have a lot of personal experience about listening and what happens when you don't, and it's not just academic and professional. So stick with me as we explore what it means to listen or not. Before talking about why it's a good idea to listen to our partner's complaints, I want to talk about why we don't. Why maybe you don't. And that's because I think, first of all, we'd like to think that our partner is full of appreciation and gratitude for us, that they're not dissatisfied with us. And then when we get a complaint, it puts a crack in that, what I would call wishful and delusional thinking. And it hurts a little bit. And we would like to come up with an excuse or a justification that would make their complaint invalid. And we do this when the complaint is presented in a reasonable way. Secondly, and more often the case, we don't want to listen to our partner's complaints because we feel like we're under attack. It sounds like it's not just that we did or we didn't do something that didn't meet their needs and desires. What it sounds like is we're a wretched failure of a human being. We've been selfish and uncaring and insensitive and irresponsible and lazy and so forth. And these are just adjectives for nouns like asshole and bitch and worse. So who really wants to listen to that? So what do we do when we feel under attack? Typically, we defend ourselves. We come up with a reason why we did or we didn't do something. We suggest that the complaint is trivial or that there were circumstances that prevented us from acting in the way that our partner wanted us to act. Okay, so what happens if we react defensively? Think about it. Remember some maybe recent experience you've had when you've defended yourself. What happens? Typically, things escalate. The complaint gets louder. The defense gets louder. At some point, when you're defending yourself, you may go on the offense. You may retaliate. And it escalates into a full-on argument, a row, a fight. And nobody feels better. Nothing gets resolved. I'm guessing that both of you feel hurt, angry, and hopeless about the relationship. So a little time passes, and perhaps there's an exchange of apologies, or one of you apologizes to the other. But the complaint has not been addressed, and the feelings of disappointment, perhaps anger and hurt, are still there. They just go underground, and it may be that your partner quits complaining. You may take that as a good sign. Things are getting better. But they're not. Actually, you may notice subtle signs that something's not right. Can be a distance, there can be an avoidance, there can be a lack of affection, there can be passive aggression, there can be sarcasm, there can be negative innuendos with plausible deniability as defense. You may harbor some of those same feelings, having felt attacked and not having felt understood. None of this is good for either of you or your relationship. So what's going on here? American psychologist and relationship expert John Gottman has given us a way to make sense of this. He has a laboratory where he studies couples and is keenly interested in what makes a difference between a relationship in which the partners say they're happy and they stay together, and one in which they're not happy and they break up. What he's noticed is that there is a 4-stage process that happens that leads to unhappy relationships and relationships ending. And he calls it the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I'm going to name the 4 horsemen and then I'll come back and describe each one. First one is criticism. Second horseman is defensiveness. The third horseman is contempt. And the fourth horseman is stonewalling. Okay, the first horseman, criticism. Complaints often come in the form of criticism. They don't have to. A complaint doesn't have to be a criticism. A criticism is not to say, I have this need and it wasn't met and I have these feelings and I'd like you to do something about it. A criticism is there's something wrong with you. You're morally compromised. You're not acting right. There's something wrong with you. That's a criticism. It's not about what you've done or not done. It's about who you are. The second horseman is defensiveness, which is what we reflexively do when we're attacked with criticism. We try to ward it off. Maintaining a positive self-image takes priority over addressing the complaint. For this video, this is the fulcrum for levering a better outcome when a complaint is presented. It's what can prevent the relationship from going into the third and fourth horsemen of the apocalypse, contempt and stonewalling. So I'm going to talk about how to use that lever a little bit later. First, I just want to get through describing to you the third and the fourth horseman. The third horseman is called contempt, and that's when the feelings toward the other are very negative. See the other in a very negative light and feel in your gut something bad, something's wrong with them. You see what they do, it can be loathing. It's where you feel sick of the other person. If our partner has gotten no satisfaction when they've tried to complain to us, they may begin to feel there's something wrong with us. If we've been criticized repeatedly, we may begin to feel that there's something wrong with our partner, and that doesn't feel good. The fourth horseman is called stonewalling, and that's when we kind of give up, when we quit communicating, when there seems to be no point. We shut down, and we communicate only when there's a practical necessity for it. It may seem like this is a better place. It may seem like it's better than fighting, but in fact, fighting is better. When we fight, we still have hope. We still think there's something that could be done, that the other one might respond. But when we go into stonewalling, we've kind of given up. And we're just coasting. When we feel and or have received contempt, eventually there's a breaking point. Either something has to give. Either the relationship has to break or we're going to break. So would you like to not go down that road? Or if you found yourself somewhere along it, would you like to retrace your steps and see if there's another way? Okay, we're ready. Stick with me. I'm now going to talk about how to listen and how to respond. I'm going to focus on the occasions when your partner is being particularly nasty and they're criticizing. They're not just complaining. And I will warn you, this is going to be difficult. What I'm going to suggest to do is not easy to do, but it's very powerful if you can do it. First, don't react. Stay present. Don't fight, don't flee, don't freeze. As calmly as you can, just listen. You may need to sit down, you may need to stand still, make eye contact, turn toward your partner, receive whatever they're saying. And let them finish. Don't interrupt them. Don't even ask questions unless they're really important. Just let them talk. When they seem to come to the end of it, ask them, are they done? Do they have more to say? They might. Let them go on until it feels that they've gotten whatever it is off their chest. There may have been a lot of criticism in it. You may have had a lot of impulses to defend yourself. Don't. Just listen. When they've finished talking, then you don't really respond right away. What I suggest is that you tell them what you heard, and you repeat it back to them as precisely as you can, trying to include as much as you can remember, without distorting any of it, without framing it in a way that might help you make a better argument later. It's just to be very accurate about what they said. And then ask if you got it right. Ask if they want to correct anything you said, or if you left anything out, and let them fill it out for you. It's a great challenge to not defend ourselves when we feel under attack, to remain open and listen. A further challenge that we're going to have here is how we listen. If we're hearing criticisms, we're listening to what's behind the criticisms. We're listening for the hurt, the anger that comes from unmet needs. So we're trying to hear what our partner needed that they didn't get from us. So that's what we can listen for, the feelings and the unmet needs. And that's what we'll respond to. What we'll not respond to is the criticism. We're not defending ourselves, we're not justifying ourselves, we're not calling them out for being nasty or unfair. We're leaving that be. And we're trying to get right to the heart of the matter, which is some dissatisfaction that our partner has with us, something they need and want from us. Perhaps our partner has been clear about their needs and their feelings. Perhaps they haven't. Perhaps they've focused more on criticizing us. So what we can do is offer a guess. Is it that you have this need? Do you need more closeness? Do you need more boundaries? Do you need more help around the house? Do you need more support, more trust, more quality time? And are you feeling hurt or angry that that's not happening? So we make a guess about what the needs are and the feelings that may or may not be directly shared. And then listen. Did we get it right? Maybe we did. If we did, that's great. If we didn't, it's still fine, really, because what we've done with that move is to shift focus from what's wrong with us and how we have to defend ourselves about that to what's really the problem, and invited our partner to shift their attention to the same thing. If we happen to get the needs and the feelings wrong, then our partner can tell us, no, you're wrong. This is what I need, and this is how I'm feeling. I'm not feeling hurt, I'm feeling angry. Or I'm not feeling angry, I'm feeling hurt. And no, I don't need more space, I need more closeness. Whatever it is. Then they're beginning to identify their needs and their feelings. So if we can get this far, what next? I suggest that we offer validation and empathy. Validation is simply to say those are legitimate needs. If they are, they probably are. And the feelings you have about not having them met make sense. They're understandable. It's not to say, yes, I admit I'm a horrible person. It's to say, I see your needs and I see your hurt, and I empathize. I care about that. That's the second part. It's not just I can get this on an intellectual level, but I feel you. If we can do that, if we can be present enough to not be preoccupied with defending ourselves and instead simply recognize the hurt or anger that our partner feels. Next, we might offer an apology if it's sincere, if we do feel sorry. If we apologize, it's not apologizing for being a wretched human being. It's sorry for not doing or doing something that caused our partner to have bad feelings. And even if we don't apologize, we can recognize those feelings and we can offer to do something. to address them. We can agree that in the future we'll act in a different way. Or maybe our partner's already told us what they would like us to do, and having been heard and empathized with and validated, and if we're willing to do what it is they'd like us to do, we can just agree to do that. If what they want us to do is something we can't or don't want to do, maybe we can negotiate. Maybe there's something else we can do to meet their needs. And maybe that what they want us to do is only one way for their needs to be met. There may be other ways to do it. But the point here is that there's an action component. We haven't just listened and empathized and validated. We're prepared to take action because we care about our partner and we care about the relationship, and we probably want them to be happy. As difficult as all that may sound, if you can do it, voila, you have averted the path of contempt and stonewalling and begun to build strong bridges of communication and partnership in your relationship. Most of us, most people will respond to being listened to and empathized with, and it will make things better. But if you find that despite the fact that you've refrained from being defensive and you've listened and you've empathized and you've done all of this, you've done this hard work, and your partner still seems angry and they're still harboring a grudge, they still can't seem to drop it, they're still sulking, they're still being passive aggressive, they're still giving you the silent treatment and engaging in emotional aggression of all kinds. If that's happening, we may have to ask ourselves why we're still with this person. As I've said, most reasonable and emotionally stable people will respond well to being listened to, but unreasonable and emotionally unstable people may not. They may continue to develop dramas around things. And what's usually happening in that case is that they're reenacting earlier traumatic experiences in their lives in which they felt victimized and there was an abuser or perpetrator, and they get locked into the way of seeing themselves and others that conforms to those roles. And it's really hard for them to see and experience anything else. And they'll repeat this pattern over and over and over and not see where it's coming from and really have no clear idea of where it's going. It's just a repetitive, toxic, negative pattern. If this sounds like your partner, if you love them and if you're up for it and you have tons of patience, maybe you can support them in their healing. You can't fix them. You can't rescue them. They have to recognize the need for it. They have to recognize that they have some wounds that need addressing, and they have to engage deliberately and intentionally in their own healing. But if they're willing to, you could play a really important role in their lives. But absent of their deliberate engagement in their own healing, you're likely to keep banging your head against the wall and likely think that your partner is doing it to you. Since you've gotten this far in this video, I'm assuming that you're in a relationship with somebody who's complained about you. Of course, that pretty much describes all of us, but perhaps it's a particular challenge for you. If your relationship matters to you, I encourage you to listen and do all of the things that I've suggested in this video. And I will predict that if you do, you will get through it. You will make your relationship better and stronger, and your partner will be happier, and you'll be happier. And if you do all of these things and that doesn't happen, then perhaps, as I've said, you need to ask yourself some questions about whether you can be in this relationship, whether your partner needs some healing. If you've made a genuine effort and it doesn't seem that your partner is able to respond, I can't tell you what you should do. I can say that I think you'll be faced with a very difficult decision, and you'll have to ask yourself some questions. Like, is there any hope? How long can I bear this? What about my needs? What about the costs and benefits of this relationship? How do they stack up? What do I get out of it? What does it cost me? What does that suggest about what I should do? One more thing worth considering. If you're able to actually listen and empathize and follow through with an agreement about how you're going to do things differently, what you'll be doing is modeling a way to resolve a conflict, a way that complaints can be addressed. It's possible. It happens sometimes that when our partner experiences that from us, it models it for them. They may be more likely able to listen to us when we have a complaint. And if we can make our complaints without criticizing, so much the better. We will avoid provoking them into being defensive, and we'll also be modeling a way to make complaints. Okay, that's it for now. May you resolve to listen to your partner's complaints, and may that deliver you into the fields of great possibilities for a rich and satisfying relationship. If you liked this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, share it with friends, leave me comments, and below check out links for my store, Attention Bazaar. You can check out the link to my psychotherapy and life coaching practice if you want. And I've also created mugs, t-shirts, and tote bags with the slogan, "Listening is magic for relationships," in case it would be useful to you to have such a reminder. That's it for now. Be well.